Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle. Surprise.
Whoa.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So good. If What the Actual Fuck was a movie, out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Sup, Chuddle Club members. Welcome to another Out of This World episode of the Chuddle the Pod, the horror movie club. On this episode, we are going to Chuddle Jason X. If this is the first time you've listened to the show, welcome to the club. We keep it spoiler-free before we pull out our space machetes and tear into the movie. Before we continue, I must take this moment to thank our coven of patrons. Your sacrifice gives us life, and we thank your beautiful souls.
Thank you.
Every good club meeting starts with attendance. My name is Sam, and I am present. Ross, are you here?
I am.
Brian, are you here?
He's not.
Boo. He got sucked into space.
He's a traveler. He was traveling around. He got lost in interdimensional. What was the name of the space station they were trying to get? Anyways, he's trying to get to a space station. Didn't wind up happening, but he's still hosting.
Solaris.
Solaris.
And that's okay. We called in the big guns. We called in Uber Brian.
Oh.
Because tonight we welcome once again Luke Boyce to the show.
Howdy ho.
Luke, welcome.
I'm very
Thanks
excited.
for coming back.
Yes. Well,
It's exciting.
you guys asked, you told me that you were talking to Jason X, and I had to come.
Yeah, you're chomping at the bit, which I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see all your insights as to why this is one that you love. And Luke, of course, has a movie Revealer streaming on Shudder. Make sure to check that out. That's in the Chuddle Club Crypt. You can check out on our episode on that as well, somewhere in the continuum. Now, with all Chuddle Club members present and accounted for, it's time to crack open that goo book and officially begin tonight's meeting.
Give me that goo.
Splat. Sound effects.
Splat, splat, do-do-do-do, splat, 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 goo, splat, splat.
Oh yeah.
He's not going to put in any of, he's not going to put in any of the normal sound effects.
He will. You said that last time, and he did
do it, right?
Our first order of business is our spoiler-free teaser, starting with a spoiler-free synopsis and tagline from IMDb. Jason Voorhees is cryogenically frozen at the beginning of the 21st century and is discovered in the 25th century and taken to space. He gets thawed and begins stalking and killing the crew of the spaceship that's transporting him.
Accurate.
Very accurate. It's
almost like a bullet point.
Like hilarious reading it. Like they find him frozen, take him to space, thaw him out. I mean,
it's got everything.
Very alien.
It's got everything.
Yeah. I mean, should have been the biggest movie of the year.
Right? Are you kidding me? That's like it's like John Carpenter's The Thing and Alien had a baby. You got the frozen thing brought onto the ship.
100%.
Beautiful. All right, taglines. So I guess this one came out at Halloween because this Halloween, meet the perfect 10 in terror.
Oh.
So I'm guessing they thought people were going to call it Jason 10, but nobody calls it Jason 10.
Yeah.
Jason X. Should have done part X.
It still would have been part X. I mean, you're going to throw a giant X in the middle of your poster. No one's going to say it's 10.
Maybe
this is straight edge Jason. Go ahead.
This is like the year that they introduced Mac OS X2, and like nobody really. Do you say X? Do you say 10? This is early 2000s. Like, why was this a thing?
It was popular to toss X onto the end of things.
Yeah.
Well, Elon Musk never got over it.
That's Big 10 business trying to push onto the public.
Exactly. Big Roman numerals.
Big Roman numeral, just try and mow it in.
Trying to get yep.
Turn of the century, Roman numerals had all the power. All right. Here's another tagline. Evil gets an upgrade. Okay. We have welcome to the future of horror.
Bold.
And I like this one. It's sort of an extended version of this one. That one. Welcome to the future of horror. He's been drowned, chainsawed, knifed, axed, hammered, shocked, burned, spiked, nailed, shot, and frozen. Now he's back for more.
Beautiful.
That's amazing. When did he? Hold on. When was he ever chainsawed?
I thought that as I was reading it just
now. He's been motorboated.
I can't recall. Can't recall it. Maybe they said they tried to kill him a bunch of different ways in this one and none of them worked. So maybe that was one of the ways they tried.
You know what? As we're going back to what's the part A one, maybe it's one of the sequels we never knew about because he actually killed everybody.
Right. All this. But then he wouldn't have been chainsawed in it. Or maybe he could have survived. We realized there's a bunch of unseen Friday the 13th movies where Jason just wins in the end. But
so yeah, no survivor girl, no nothing. You just never hear about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Movies are made by people, and the people that made this movie are. Okay, we got our director, James Isaac. And it was written by Todd Farmer, and Victor Miller gets credit for, creating the characters. Mm-hmm. All right, cast. Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees, of course. We got Lexa Doig as Rowan. And, David Cronenberg was in there.
Yes, David Cronenberg is in this goddamn
Dr. Wimmer.
Hell yeah.
Jonathan Potts, Professor Lowe, Lisa Ryder, KM14, Dove Tiefenbach, Azrael, nice. Chuck Campbell, Sonoran, was that guy's name? I don't know. It was some fun future name. Yeah. Melissa A. Janessa, and there's a bunch, but I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, the guy who played Dallas, who was we're not in spoilers yet. The guy who played Dallas was also the writer of the film.
Nice.
Oh, and we should mention Sergeant Brodsky, Peter Mensa. All right.
He's got some great one-liners in this movie.
I don't think I realized that Todd Farmer was in the movie. This is the first time I realized that.
Yes, he is when we first see the virtual reality simulator, not the kid, the other guy.
Got it.
The bald guy.
I will admit, I did not get it because of the holidays. I did not get a chance to rewatch this movie. So I'm going to basically rely on you guys.
No worries.
I've only seen it
2 or 3 times.
I've only seen it about 4 or 5 times. So I'll be okay.
That's a really good batting average, honestly. For Jason X, that's a really good batting average.
I love this movie.
All right. Check your watches because it's time for the gore meter.
Fatality.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Psycho to the Sadness, how gory is this film? 1 to 5 for consistency, 1 to 5 for intensity. I did 4 for consistency and 3 for intensity to get me to a 7 for an overall score.
Okay.
Which
I can't tell
if that's high or not. Yeah.
To me,
right?
it seems high. Like
high.
To me, this sat between but I agree with you. Like it's very consistent throughout the movie. And some of the more intense scenes are intense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We get a curveball in this because there is a lot of CGI, early CGI,
digital,
blood and
most
stuff like
of the
that,
stuff is digital instead of practical,
which I guess at the time, but rewatching it now, almost I'm not gonna say it decreases on the gorometer for me, but I can tell the fake scenes are clearly fake. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it was for me, I don't know, a 6 between 6. I'll say 6.5.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah. I guess we don't. Who is the horror for? Starting with subgenres, what subgenres does this movie fall into? So you got slasher, of course. I guess sci-fi. I mean, it is a sci-fi movie. The Space Marines and we are in the future. The technology, science. The healing. There's the robot lady.
Sci-fi horror. I mean, we do have Cronenberg in it. I almost say a splash of body horror in there, just because of the
why?
The mutant mechanics that happen at the end of the movie for me. You know what I mean? Where it's
that's sure.
Just a dash. You know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, I also could be completely tainted by Cronenberg in the movie too, because he's the master of body horror.
Yeah, I'm fairly sensitive to body horror. It's not my favorite genre, and I didn't pick up on anything.
It's good to know.
Well, this was kind of 2000. This was 2001, right? So there was kind of a trend of science fiction horror around the time. This is when Carpenter, I think, did Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah.
Came out in 01.
Okay.
So yeah, I think sci-fi horror was kind of coming in for a little brief.
Coming in vogue
Oh,
briefly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then none of it worked out. So they
No, it
stopped
didn't. It
making them.
didn't last. No.
They made a few of them though.
Well, we all survived Y2K, and then we were looking towards the future, and this is what we got.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was kind of a late 90s resurgence of sci-fi horror, like with Event Horizon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think this was on the tail end of that, essentially.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Is it fun or frightful? Better in a group cracking jokes or huddled up in the dark? I would say definitely in a group cracking jokes. This is
100%.
hanging out with
Well,
your
yeah.
buddies movie.
I
100%.
love showing this movie to people because they don't realize how funny it is.
I mean, yeah, there's plenty of laughs to be had. I can't deny that. And lastly, is it for beginners? I mean, you certainly could start with this if you were just getting into horror, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd put you off, but I don't think it'd turn you on either. And I don't think it's a good example of a horror movie.
I think it's got, I mean, the camp is perfect with this movie. If you were like, hey, I want to show you a horror movie, but like a Diet Coke version of a horror movie, like just to get your toes into it. You know what I mean? Like if it's advertised as that for a beginner, I think it would be great. But if you're expecting to get like the shit scared out of you, this is definitely not one of those movies.
Yeah, there's not a lot of remembering correctly, there's not a lot of Friday the 13th mythology in it either. So it feels like,
No.
Right.
you don't have to feel steeped in it necessarily if you're watching this, but maybe that may be a detriment, if anything, if you're for beginners.
Well, it's like I think that is kind of the fun thing about this series is that either through flashbacks or just dialogue exposition that like you're gonna know what's going on within 3 minutes of the movie starting. Or if you don't, Captain MacGuffin's gonna be coming through and tell you exactly what is going to happen.
Well, I mean, if you're Friday the 13th 3, you basically are the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Is everything that has happened.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. They did that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Does the Chuddle Harbinger of Doom have anything to say? Mothman? I don't. Trigger warnings? Can't think of any.
There's,
It's just
honestly,
standard
for
horror
this one,
fare.
yeah, it's standard horror fare. I don't think there's honestly a whole lot of, I mean, the only one lightly, if you have a thing with like surgery and surgical stuff, like there's 1 or 2 scenes that you may not really like that, but besides that,
Light surgery warning.
light surgery,
Great.
cosmetic surgery warning.
Most people use rockets to go to space, but we get on the spoiler zone.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, we can talk about spoilers now. It's time for IMDb behind the scenes.
Jason did
These
it.
are all up front. Oh yeah, that's right. Jason. It was Jason all
It was
along.
Jason the whole time.
Turns out Space Jason was Roy the whole time.
It's just Scooby Doo in space.
Roy X.
Roy. God.
All right. Roy goes to hell. All right. While this film was a critical and financial failure in its initial release in theaters, it made more than triple the cost of production in DVD and post-theater sales. Statistically, it is one of the most successful Friday the 13th movies. Despite initial negative critical feedback, over time it's become more popular among younger fans of the franchise, mainly for its self-deprecating humor and inventive death scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, 2001 would be kind of like the rise of DVD, and
Oh yeah.
so this was like one of the forerunners that year. I mean, God, that is kind of amazing though, it having a complete financial flop, and then like X amount of time later. I didn't even do it. I totally meant to do that. It goes up into the DVD like corrals, and then like, could you imagine
Triple their money on DVD.
Well, I mean, like, could you imagine like having a movie flop that bad, and then like they're all just like sit there like, this is terrible. Like I'm picturing like the stock market after the day's done, the papers are everywhere, and then like one goes, our DVD sales, they're going through the roof.
The film only suffered a couple seconds of cuts/alterations to earn a R rating, making it the least censored entry in the Friday the 13th series. Which surprises
DVD
me.
Probably helped that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very true. It seemed like they had cut some. It seemed to me like some significant goo was cut out of it, but I guess that's not the case. And there wasn't really anything on special features giving me extra gore.
Do you think that's because and we talked about it in Jason Goes to Hell, is that like they already knew that they were going to have an unrated version of this out on VHS, DVD, all that kind of fun stuff? Do you think at a certain point, like the MPAA really kind of took their talons off of this franchise after they realized, like, even if we decide to censor a bunch of this stuff in theaters, this content is still going to get out to the public? It's not like we're, you know what I mean? Like, I almost feel like there's like a changing of the guard, especially when like home video and stuff started doing unrated, that like I felt it almost not neutered the MPAA, but like in a sense, like I felt like they started getting a little less really critical of films, because they kind of just knew at the end of the day, it's like, well, we can buffer it a little bit, but like most of this horrendous stuff, people are just going to fucking see.
I couldn't tell you what the MPAA thinks.
I don't know.
I mean, what that
bunch of loons.
Yeah, I think that's definitely interesting, the unrated thing, because I think that was around like 99, 2000 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they started doing that.
It's also just over time. Hopefully they just kind of chilled out, and we're like, I mean, if you look at movies historically, they've been allowed to do more and more stuff. So
I mean, if you're not even calling them Friday the 13th anymore, and then you get like Space Jason on a cover, I think the MPAA is going to be like, okay, yeah, buddy, here
this
you go. Pat on the butt. There you go.
The first film in the Friday the 13th series to rely on digital effects for death and gore shots, which we kind of already touched on. Mm-hmm. Neither casting director Robin Cook nor director James Isaac initially wanted to do the virtual reality scene with the naked campers. Cook was so adamant the scene was nothing but gratuitous nudity that she refused to cast the roles of the two topless girls. Isaac agreed that it was clearly just for nudity's sake, and the only way he could personally justify it is if they had fun with it and poked fun at it, including the naked teens in its films. The two actresses, though, were excited to be in it because it was a big break for them. So it's funny to me that I don't know how many of the Friday movies we've covered now where it's like they reshot extra deaths with some more nudity to shove into this movie.
Right. But I do like the fact that they actually bring up the fact that we're like, okay, if we're going to do this nudity and we're going to do this scene, it has to have some kind of fucking point. And then to make it a huge joke, I think was the coolest way they could have played that off, because not only is it like you're giving fan service, but you're also subtly making fun of the entire pretense of the fan service to them. And they love it. Like, I think that's just such a fun fucking thing to do to your audience.
Yeah, it is one of my favorite moments in the movie for sure. Screenwriter Todd Farmer based much of the film on Alien, even naming one of the characters, who he played, Dallas, after Tom Skerritt's character in the Ridley Scott film. The film script was made through so I meant to Google this to find out more about it, because it says the film script was made through a public contest where people willing to participate sent in a script. But that just doesn't make sense to me with everything else I've read and seen on like special features.
Now I'm
not sure about that one, IMDb.
I'm just picturing a Jason Voorhees picture on the back of a Captain Crunch box. Now you can write a movie.
Mail in.
Yeah, an ad in the back of a comic book.
Yes. This is why historically in films, things in the back of comic books are real, and you should fill them out and pay for them.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Once David Cronenberg came on board, he quickly noticed some problems with the script and began rewriting most of his characters' lines. According to director James Isaac, one of the lines was, "I want him soft," in response to the request to have Jason cryogenically frozen, which is a great line where he's like, "I don't want him frozen. I want him soft."
God,
this is Kane Hodder's
just having David Cronenberg in the movie is just insane to me. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
One of his special effects guys, one of his lead guys, was the lead special effects person for this movie. So I think that's probably how it was they got involved. Kane Hodder's final appearance as Jason It means he played him 4 times. It says he's the only actor to play him 4 times, but I think he's the only actor to play him even more than once, right? I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
No?
Yeah, I don't know. Although I do give... All right, we're going to get into Kane's look in this movie, but I almost feel like Kane's look in this film is in direct protest to Jason Goes to Hell, because in this one it is so much more Kane than we've ever seen in any other installment. And probably that's because he was installed to the Jason Goes to Hell like rig, like the huge foam latex, and couldn't even remove his mask. And this one he goes, I want 2 prosthetics, I want a little bit of hair. Now by a little I mean I want a full head of hair, and you have to use my eyeball.
Although the movie was shot on 35mm film, it was then transferred to high definition video to aid to the creation of all the visual effects. This made it the first ever feature-length film to be completed entirely in the digital realm.
Wow.
There's a bit of trivia for you.
Jason X, first digital film
next
ever.
Time you're at trivia night.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Kane is just the only actor to play him in more than one
once.
film. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And he did 4. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jim Isaac wanted the acting in this film to blow every other Friday movie out of the water, the rehearsals were videotaped on a camcorder for him to view afterwards to get ideas for the characters. The problem with that, though, was that they were constantly rewriting it, so almost everything he shot was not usable, or like not what they were doing when they came to film. In early 99, James Isaac tablet. In early 1999, James Isaac originally wanted the movie either as Freddy vs. Jason or as a Friday the 13th movie to be set in a wintry Camp Crystal Lake, but New Line didn't want to do another camper in the woods Jason movie. So you almost had your wintry Jason, but you got summer, Jason, not summer, so space Jason. Sean S. Cunningham said that he loved the script because they weren't telling the exact same tired old story they've been retreading for 20 years. Which is true. I don't know if that makes it good, but it is true. During Jason X's development process, the director, the producer, several producers, screenwriter, were always kicking around ideas. Jason in whatever, the hood, snow, New York again, underwater, the Arctic, in LA fighting gangs, on Savari. They even considered something involving him in the NASCAR circuit. Farmer then suggested
I would take
Jason
all of those for the record. I mean, I want all of them.
Absolutely. I love every Jason in scenario you can think of. Like, there's virtually none that I wouldn't want to see. But I agree. Of those, I think the NASCAR circuit would be... or the LA gang thing would be the most fun.
NASCAR Jason,
so wild.
The pits of hell.
Nice.
But they knew they were making Freddy versus Jason, so that this movie they wanted to set it in the future so that it wouldn't affect
anything they were doing.
Anything with Jason and Freddy versus Jason. So that's how they ended up coming with this. And they tried to make it a mashup of Alien and Aliens, respectively. And yeah, it says a bunch of stuff here, but we don't need to talk about it. The character Adrian is a reference to Adrian King, who was Alice in Friday 2. No, she's Alice Hardy in Friday in the first one, and then she's only in the beginning of 2. The original screenplay was much darker, but then Scream came out, and they were like, all right, meta humor, poking fun at yourself, that's the thing now, so we're gonna bring it in the campy meta humor direction. And that's how we got this version of it. But because it was inspired by Alien and Aliens, it was a much darker, grimier, grittier thing, which you still kind of get from the feel of the ships and things. It feels lived in and kind of, I don't know the right, utilitarian. It's not very decorative or anything like that. The scene when Jason snaps Sven's neck was originally a much quicker snap in the script. Kane Hodder felt it was that a quick snap had been overdone, and so he had him kind of more slowly break his neck, and you get like the crunching sounds as it twists. So that was his Kane brought that one to us. Adrian's death, which is the face freezing smash, Based directly on a season 1, episode 23 X-Files, Roland, who is possessed by a deceased brother in the scene, kills a scientist by dunking his head in a barrel of liquid nitrogen and smashing his head to the pieces on the floor. I know I've seen that episode. I recognize that name. Do not recall this happening. But
that means
I've probably seen that episode more than once, to be honest.
That just means they picked the right episode.
And, it's a show I tend to watch when I'm sleepy.
Right.
So that helps.
I just the fact that X-Files to you is a half fever dream because you use it to go to sleep is my favorite thing on the planet.
It really is. There's one episode really was a fever dream where I was coming in and out of sleep and it was like a nightmare. Something where they're like, I think they somehow go on the Titanic in the episode.
What?
Hard to say. Like I said, it was a fever dream. It may just be they were on a ship.
It's a ship. It's not the Titanic.
It's okay. Different podcast idea. Sam, you tell us the premise of a bunch of X-Files episodes based off of your half fever dream sleeping in and out of the episode. And then we give you the real synopsis and then we compare the two.
Yes.
That's the other thing. If that head smash happened at the end of the episode, I was already asleep, so I missed it.
Just out.
Okay. And then all the ones, we don't need to get my X-Files watching habits. All right. Contrary to popular belief, this movie is not on film critic Roger Ebert's most hated list. He did have a notorious hatred for the franchise that he shared with fellow critic Gene Siskel. They both slammed the original, and after his half-star review for Part 2, he refused to write anymore, adding, "This will suffice for the 13th movie of your choice." For some reason, he still reviewed Jason X, awarding it again half a star, commenting, quote, "Jason X sucks on the levels of storytelling, character development, suspense, special effects, originality, punctuation, neatness, and aptness of thought. Only its title works." So that's we haven't had, he hasn't reviewed one since.
It doesn't surprise me, but yeah.
I think it's funny that he says it sucks. That's not very articulate.
That means you can tell he really fucking hates the franchise. Really, that sucks.
We got two more here. Uber Jason doesn't have a face under his mask. If he did, it wouldn't fit his mask. And by that, it means Kane Hodder's face wouldn't fit under there. And they had to put contacts to match his eyes to put in the way the mask could hide his Kane Hodder's face while filming. Not sure I quite understand that, but I think what it means is that his eyes were too spread apart and his face is maybe behind the metal. I know the metal mask is fused into his face. I'm not sure what that means, but there you have it. And lastly, David Cronenberg's cameo was done as here it is. David Cronenberg's cameo was done as a favor to his former protege, James Isaac, the director of this movie, for loaning his Canadian-based production crew to him. In exchange, he wanted to get killed on screen.
Nice.
All right. We made it through that. Before we get to the movie discussion, quick who picked it, why in history. I picked it because I've been going through this franchise and I am finally done. No, we haven't done Freddy vs. Jason or the remake. I've seen them. Maybe we'll cover them eventually, but this brings us to the end. It's been a ride.
How does that feel?
We got a
Sam?
retrospective. We have a retrospective coming out as our next episode, and I'll let you know then.
Nice.
Tune in.
But I'm certainly glad I did it, and what a way to do it too, with my pals, with new friends. It's been a great time.
Amen.
Do you guys have any particular history with this entry?
Oh, I definitely partaked in the adding this to the. I bought this on DVD when it came out. It was like right. It was 2001. So yeah, still rocking high school. I was like literally like one of the first DVDs I actually bought was Jason X.
Right, back when DVDs were cool. Like people rated DVDs based on how many special features they had.
Yeah.
I remember I got Entertainment Weekly and they'd have like a annual list of the best DVDs for like all the bonus features and stuff.
It's amazing.
I don't have much of a I started watching it ways later when I was going through the series. Yeah. I mean it was a while ago. But I remember my my buddy Tim Seeley, who is the writer of Hack Slash and those things, telling me how much he loved this movie, and I was like, well, okay, let's see. All I knew was this must be terrible, and no, yeah, I became a huge fan of it just because of just when you're going through these movies and you get to the end and you get to this just absolute bonkers, entry into it. It's just hilarious. This is such a fun way to go out. I mean, assuming you don't go, Freddy versus Jason, but yeah,
that's true,
right?
But it's such a fun, like, it's the most logical conclusion to see, like, at least at that point, to a series where, like, of course he's gonna go in space. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's just like, oh man, I can't believe this exists.
Yes,
like,
right.
Conceptually, it's like, thank God. And if you, I mean, honestly, like you naming off all those ideas, all those Jason ideas isn't surprising. There's a couple of great books just about all the development of Jason movies that never happened. And there's so many of them, and some of them sound great. And so, I don't know. I think this movie is a bit of a miracle. Jason in space. I mean, come on. Yeah, this
my favorite one that didn't happen that we learned about covering one of these was Jason versus Cheech and Chong. That would.
Oh my God!
Oh, it's like an Abbott and Costello. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's see, that makes me sad. I want that.
Right? I said the exact same thing. No, but I think, look, you're 100% right, because I think, like, the stars have to align in a perfect way for this movie to happen. And like you're saying, like, that early science fiction horror wave that started and having this script go through, and they go, okay, well, that's made money. We could, sure, let's try that.
Well, and there's like the early 2000s are interesting because it's interesting you mentioned Scream there, because there is, like, post Scream, there's sort of this weird lost in the desert thing for a lot of horror movies, for the horror genre in general, because it's like you have this sort of thing where people are like, or filmmakers are, do we take this seriously? Do we not take this seriously? Like, what are we doing here? Because clearly it's horror. People always want to see horror, but the zeitgeist is so different now with this sort of meta nature of, this sort of postmodernism that we're living in the early 2000s. So it's like, it's interesting to sort of see it in context of the time that it came out. And it's both funny and also straight up horror, which I think is actually kind of impressive.
Absolutely.
I think what's amazing about this area of horror, and when these, especially like the beginning of CGI, and the idea that even if it didn't do okay in the theaters, it, like, there's now an entirely different market for DVD sales and viewership and stuff like that, where I think there were so many bolder choices in horror versus a lot of other conventional genres of movies, where it's like, I remember seeing, it wasn't House on Haunted Hill, it was The Haunting, where it had, with like Catherine Zeta-Jones and like all these big name dudes.
I remember
but
that.
then they had like the weirdest beginning of CGI shit that, like, and none of it worked. Like, some of it worked a little bit, but like most of it, none of it worked. And in any other genre of movie, they would have looked at this and went, no, we got to figure this out. We got to do this. But because it's horror, like, and the fan base,
sci-fi gets away with that too, though.
Yes.
I would say is the other genre.
Well, I think that horror and sci-fi are kind of cousins in the fact that the fan base is astronomically more forgiving of the technical components, as long as they really jive with, like, the story, or they jive with, like, the just the ambiance of the film. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I mean, obviously I can nitpick it apart that, like, some of these CGI scenes feel like they were done in MS Paint, but like, but as an overall thing, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so jazzed to see that dude's arm get cut off, or like, I'm so excited to see someone get, like, sucked through a porthole. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't care how it's done or how crappily it's done. Like, it's like, it's just that it happened.
Oh, you know what? I don't remember the point I was going to make. I'm sure it's fine. Unnecessary. Let's get into this.
Let's do it.
So, opening credits. Are we in hell? It seems like hell.
CGI
we're
hell.
coming out of a face. That was the inside of Jason's head,
Eyeball?
I guess. And then we see Jason. He's in chains at the Crystal Lake Research Facility. So
Amazing.
either it was already there or they built it for him.
Totally. I like this whole intro scene with just like and like just like weird syringes and like hypodermic needles and scalpels and shit, and then that weird collar at the end. Like it's funny that like you think it started off with hell because they give that like huge like wink to the like the
Right.
last installment.
Mhm.
Like, nope, this ain't your mama's, Jason. And then like it's just going out and doing all of that crazy surgical shit to him. I also like just the collar they put on him as well at the end of that sequence. Or like,
yes.
that'll work.
Well, you got to collar him. That's part of it.
Yeah.
And it says his status, Jason's status, awaiting cryogenic suspension. Why? I guess they thought it was a good idea.
Well, dude,
at
never
this
a good
point,
idea.
we don't know. Yeah,
he's the blob of slashers. Like you've tried everything against him and he still comes back. You just deep freeze him. You just
Yeah.
night. Just put him to sleep, put him away somewhere, and hope to God it's someone else's problem in like
seems
3,000
like
years.
concrete might be a better solution. Just cover him in concrete and let him
Sam, we're talking about the
sit in
government.
there.
They don't deal in easy solutions. They have a budget that they have to
They've
blow
been
through.
Dying to use this cryo suspension chamber.
doing a Warner Brothers frog and just dumping concrete on him and the foundation of a building and leaving would be way too easy. They're like, we need a research facility. We need personnel. We need chains and dramatic lighting from 40 feet up that you can't see.
Well, they nailed it, I guess. So now just one soldier is left watching Jason, and he, I guess, doesn't like that Jason's looking at him. So he brings a blanket over to him. I think he calls him ugly or something, tosses it over Jason.
Yeah. All right. I know we have to talk about the look of Jason, though, because like we actually get full-fledged like look of like he's got hair. And by hair, I mean like a full head of hair and not like sackhead Jason.
It's pretty scraggly. It's patchy.
But it's still a fucking full head of hair. I mean,
No, it is not. It's very patchy.
Really?
Yes.
I think it's, I mean, it's more hair than we've seen since part 2. Like, hands down.
I'll agree with you there.
Like, it just looks like, his head may have been hit with a weed whacker, but it's like a full... It's
still plenty bald, but there's, it's like a guy who refuses to acknowledge that he's going bald, and so he just has like random curly patches. I feel like that's what it's like, isn't it?
Honestly, way more hair. I thought so because he's bald by the time you get to Mech 1. But this,
absolutely.
But this
he's
one
been bald for a while.
It's it's so much more Kane in this than others. Where like he's still lumpy. You still fully see his full eye. Like I don't even think they did makeup around his eye behind the hockey mask. Where it's straight up. Like it's even with the hockey mask on, I felt like there was way more Kane in this.
Could be. I don't know. I don't particularly love this version of Jason. I'll say that he would be on the now later that changed my mind once he's Uber Jason, but the this Jason, it would definitely be in my like lower half of character designs.
Oh, totally. I don't really like what they did with his hawk. Like, I think the hawk in this one is just
that I kind of like how they give it a little bit of a nose. I think it looks more menacing.
It is, yeah. But it's such a tried and true formula that I was like, man, if you had one thing, even if you can't say it's Friday the 13th, at least keep like aspects of the original hockey mask involved. You know what I mean? But again, he's like a RPG character, so every time he respawns, he gets a new mask at this point and new powers.
Mm-hmm. There's always a mask laying around somewhere.
Yeah.
So Jason is being transferred. The lady there's like, no, we need to freeze him. The doctor says, no, we got to move him. He's a valuable asset. We need to understand why he regenerates. The doctor being David Cronenberg. Mm-hmm. He wants him to move him unfrozen, soft, as he says.
Soft.
They go to move Jason, take off the blanket. Oh, it's not Jason. It's that soldier from before.
Peekaboo.
Oh, no.
Although, again, see, part 2 vibes the entire time. We haven't seen actually like a peekaboo Jason in a minute. So
that's true. And he's standing behind him and just starts taking him out, throwing chains, throwing this, throwing that. David Cronenberg goes to run away, and he throws a giant spike through his back.
That was rad.
And
seeing Cronenberg die on film is always great. Also, just having the request where he's like, so I'll be in this movie, but I need to be murdered horribly in this movie.
Yeah, you got to kill me. So whoever this lady is who ends up being our main character runs away from Jason, sort of, I guess, leads him. It seems like she leads him to the cryostasis chamber, like she was trying to trick him into going in there.
Yeah.
We get a little cat and mouse with them, but she sets up Big J to be frozen and knocks him in, freezes it. Uh-oh, still gets macheted through the door. He stabs her with the machete through the door, which pokes a hole in the cryostasis chamber.
Yes.
And so she starts freezing.
Exactly.
Right? She seals the room, I guess. Jason realizes he's about to freeze, so he's like, I gotta do a cool pose, and holds up his machete like he's about to swing with it.
Oh my god. Like, I think the materials used in most of this movie for like structurally for like the ship, like I think just being able to like shoot bullet holes in a circle and then have things fall through. He punches through metal more in this movie than any other installment.
Oh, the outside of that ship's like paper. I mean, he punches through and it doesn't look very thick at all. This is where, if Bryan were here, we talk about how when Ross, I don't think you were part of this for whatever reason, but when we all lived together, we watched the episode of Futurama where Fry is rich because his bank account has had accruing interest this whole time. So we were like, oh, we gotta look into getting cryogenically frozen, and we like had some company that does this for people send us like a info DVD on the cryogenic process and how it works.
What?
And when you die right away, they gotta like take they basically like pickle you immediately and then freeze you and hope that one day they plan on being able to reverse it.
Wow.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
No. And also the level of stuff that went on in the apartment that I did not know about is hilarious.
Yeah.
Cryogenics DVDs just hanging around had no fucking
You worked
idea.
a lot more than we did. So I only had so many hours of the old tropical smoothie. All right. So now, fade to black. Come to sometime later. We're not sure at this point yet. Go ahead.
I was going to say, also, I love the transition with the CGI frost on the eyebrows and stuff like that, that it went from like they stab her and she goes down, and then it just turns into a black and gray shot. Like, I think that's how they turn, like, this is frozen now. And then it's just black and gray as like they slowly kind of just give her some like CGI frost on her eyebrows. I was just like, this is just so early 2000s.
I didn't notice it, but I just watched Blade a few days ago, which is 98. So this probably seemed...
This was a vibe, man.
Like, I mean, like miles better, because Blade's CGI does not hold up at all, but the movie does. If you were a fan, still great.
Huh. It's been a while since I've seen it. It's interesting.
That movie has a soft spot in my heart and always will. I'll talk about it whenever we talk about it. Can't give away the big reveal for my theater experience on that one. All right. So now it's sometime later, don't know how long, because it's full of cobwebs. There's people in these like radiation type suits. They almost look like Star-Lord coming in and walking around looking for something.
How are the batteries still on? Like, I know they get to this cryogenic.
How does it keep this place frozen? Yeah.
and for
big power bill.
It's the whole room's frozen
Energizer
too.
Actually sponsored this entire film. There's just a bunny in the background. Just don't.
It's probably solar
permafrost.
It's probably solar.
Yeah, solar powered.
Right.
On a planet that no longer has the sun.
Yes.
We didn't say it was
But
great
this
solar,
thing
but
is
it still gets
this
solar.
thing's still working.
Just a little bit of solar.
just enough to fucking keep them frozen.
So these people get there. They're like, "Hey, it's safe to take our masks off." We see it's a bunch of humans. They're looking around. Oh, they find Jason. Hey, there's a guy in here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, hey, we found another one. She's alive. That's great.
Oh.
Then Popsicle Jason falls over and chops a kid's arm off.
Also, before that, when they bring out what's on his face, for our listeners, just to let you know, because the Jason X timeline is a real timeline, is that we have 1 year until hockey is completely abolished from the planet Earth. So get your hockey in, because they said hockey was outlawed in 2024.
Wow.
A violent sport outlawed in 2024. Real funny. It's the future joke.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of them because this whole movie is set in the future.
Yeah, they try. It didn't work for me. I'm glad you liked it, Ross. What I did think was hilarious, though, was when Frozen Jason falls over and chops that kid's arm off. I mean, that was a big belly laugh.
Oh my God. And then him just immediately getting doped up and that weird cauterizing future agent thing.
There's like a skin thing on his arm. Yeah. And super doped up. I bet that was some good stuff, man.
Which that would have been just a completely funny, insane alter movie where it'd be like, because Jason's going to be stabbing and brutalizing the fuck out. Because you imagine getting like slashed by Jason and then in real time being able to slap these patches onto yourself to self-heal as you're going through. It would completely change the game for all of Jason's victims.
And it does, because we get a little bit of that later. Now they're like, all right, we're gonna take Jason and this lady that we found onto our ship. We see him go out. It looks like Mars or something, but we know that it's Earth, and they go into their ship.
Message.
Oh yeah, how about that? That's
the
real horror of this one.
Yep.
Climate change. Don't even get me started. Okay. Their ship goes to this other even bigger ship, huge ship. They dock with that. There's a bunch of people on there, like Space Marines, I guess. It's sort of that aliens vibe. They're definitely soldiers. We find out that our main lady, Rowan is her name. Mm-hmm. She has been sleeping for 4.5 centuries. They bring her to life. For some reason, they need to get her naked. We don't see her naked, but we know she has to get naked in order to be brought back to life. The other guy who gets his arm attached, and Jason comes back to life from horniness. But
I think with this one is because it covers her entire body, as in it's like reconstructing a bunch of cells on her body. And then his arm is like an isolated area. And I think the reason why they took her clothes off is because when it accidentally resurrects Jason, it fuses all of those components that he's on. So if he was buck ass naked,
they did that on purpose because they didn't have enough material. It said they're like, we need to get synthetic. We'll get there. All right. So we see the healing machine reattach the guy's arm. We're like, oh, that's cool. We got this nanobot machine, brings the lady to life. Everybody's wearing some fun, like austere, sexy future clothes. It's sort of very like,
I got Fifth Element and Blade Runner had a baby.
Interesting.
Is the costume choices of all of this.
Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so.
And I think it sounds weird. Also, the last thing on the look of Jason, and at least for the old Jason, is he gave me like the best. He looks like Mad Max version of Jason. If that makes sense. He's like dustier and weirder, and like he's not slimy. He's not like, it's just this.
Yeah, he lost all his wetness.
It's like desert Jason. Yeah.
Hell dried him out.
Yeah.
Dystopian Jason.
Yes. There we go. He's a man of the times.
So Jason's in one room with one doctor. She's in another room with another doctor. The
two horny
the room
teens.
Jason's in gets 2 interns that come and start like making out right next to him.
Everyone's horny in this movie.
Yeah.
So this
be careful. They're going to bring him back to life.
Yes, that's all I was writing. That's all my notes. So like, God damn it, the two horny teens are in charge of Jason. This chastity demon is going to just literally, he's not even going to like resurrect. He's going to just shoot out of a supernova and just murder everything on board.
So, but smartly, not that she knows this, but the lady doctor is like, all right, interns, get out of here. Come back when you can focus. They're like, really? Oh, wow. Thanks.
Great, thanks.
We're going to go have sex. Oh.
I will
So
say
they go off to do that.
It's one of the impressive things about this movie is that, you're roughly 20 minutes in here.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a lot of
a lot of people.
So when they get onto the ship, we get a lot of characters introduced in a line or two.
And they just keep coming.
Sort of passing through.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think like the suspenders of disbelief for, because usually there is like a slaughterhouse mill of these kids or these people going through. But I think what's fun is that because it's a spaceship, I'm so trained in my brain when I'm watching science fiction, television shows, shit like that, where it's like, I even like think of like classic Star Trek, where it's like, yeah, you're concerned about these things, but there's fucking people behind all the time that you don't even register or think about. So like having all these people that like are barely named, I was like, yeah, that's fine. There's a whole, this is shit.
Red
they gotta
shirts.
get shit done.
Yeah, just a shirt full of red shirts.
Also, why is it that every single pilot in these sci-fi series, dystopian things, have cowboy hats on?
Yes.
Well, and a southern accent.
And a fucking southern accent. I love the fact that it
exists on Earth too.
It takes a regal southern man to fly these ships.
I wonder what accent that is on Earth too, what they call that now.
Yeah.
In the future. I'm amazed that accent made it. And we don't have any new accents. I would have loved a new future accent. All right. We are... Oh, yeah. So she's to life. They tell her it's 24:55. She's worried about Jason. They're like, look, you're safe here on Star Trek. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. The guy in charge calls some other guy to tell him about what he found. It's this one we find out he's like... We kind of find out he's an archaeologist and he has students with him and he's calling somebody because has a big find he wants to sell him. And it turns out the thing he really has of value is Jason Voorhees, notorious murderer. You bring me him alive, I'll pay you
this guy ton of money. Has to be like a true crime fetishist or something like that, because the realization is like Voorhees, as in Jason Voorhees. A guy, I mean, albeit his body count's huge. He's killed like 200 people, but like knowing that specific name from almost 500 years into the past is remarkable.
That's true. But he also does he's like a dealer in antiquities,
and
so
weird
he would
stuff.
Presumably know about this era.
Give me that. People pay top dollar for that goo boy.
So the lady doctor cuts off Jason's mask, and we see it seems like she's cutting his face off, but then she just pops the mask off.
It's like she scalpels around it with black goo, and then just goes like, "Oh wait, it's a mask," and just pulls it off.
Yeah, like I never understood that part. It's like the scalpel's going into his face, but there's it's very strange.
It makes no sense. Although I do like the look of Jason underneath the mask. It was it's so good. It's like part 4 vibes. Like they go back to real classic looking Jason. We don't get like weird melty Play-Doh mush face fucking part 8 or Bone Daddy part 7. Like this is like this is fleshed out. I like it.
Yep. So we're still seeing more character stuff now. We get the professor and his student are hooking up. They're getting kinky. She's twisting his nipple until he screams, "You passed!
You passed!" While he's in a purple nightie.
I was gonna say, isn't he in a nightie?
He's in a purple nightie the entire time, and he just goes, "You pass."
I didn't think about it.
But like, it's so amazing. Like there's I wrote it in a supernova of hormones. It's like they knew Jason. Okay, so this actually poses the question. Does weirdly enough, does Jason give off horny pheromones? As in is when he's around, do people get hornier? Because when he gets on the ship, three groups of people are fucking at this point.
Yes.
Like you've got like the weird horny couple, you've got Professor, and then there's one other. Isn't there like one other one that's doing something weird?
I think it's just
maybe it's just the two couples.
Yeah, no, it's here. I'll tell you because my next note is
the
robot
robots.
lady's nipple.
Oh,
yeah, the
that's
robot
right.
lady's nipples fall off.
Yeah. Yep.
And she wants breasts like a real girl. He's like, I don't even know why you want those things. They fall off onto the ground and like clink like metal. Yeah. Then the horny kids are in their bunk, which causes a knee jerk from Jason. Then it appears they climax and bam, he is risen.
Murderous rage. Did someone orgasm under my watch?
And this is when we get the infamous head into the
nitrogen,
something that freezes your head, and then
so good
face smash.
So
the face smash is pretty rad.
It's so good.
I mean, this movie has some of the best kills, in my opinion.
Hands down, and
Absolutely.
we'll get into it in the retrospective. Like hands down, probably in my top 5 deaths in the series is this kill. Just because it's like I thought it was going to end at the frozen, and then when he takes the head out, it was like, oh god. And then the fucking just the smashing of her cute like icicle face, it goes all over, and then he pulls it back up, and it's just this gutted out weird head. I think there's like a tongue left or some shit like that, and just hucks the body. I was like, god, so good.
Completely.
Yeah, it's infamous. I knew this one before I saw the movie. I think I've seen it in GIFs before or something. It is known, and it is rad. And I agree I think part of why probably a lot of people like this one now is it has so many great kills in it.
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely. And he gets a new weapon. He upgrades from the machete to that.
He doesn't have his machete.
Surgical.
So, but luckily there's these surgical space Geiger machetes laying around, and he gets to grab one of those.
Fucking huge.
Which is sweet for our Big J baby. Professor brings frozen. What does this say? Professor brings frozen lady food. Oh, the lady who came out of freezing.
And she talks about, like, was it back in 2008 is when I guess when what we saw. And they literally tried everything. Oh, they tried to execute him in 2008, and they literally tried everything, and they couldn't kill him.
So they were like, we'll freeze him because that'll do something. Again, easier solutions, but whatever. Then Jason gets right to it. He is risen. He knows those two just had sex. Door opens, stabs the guy with the machete. Classic couple impalement, except it's just the guy. Twist on it, though. Stabs the guy straight through, impales him. The guy turns around, and then he pulls it through the other side. So we get a full-on...
like a full impalement.
Yes. And he leaves the girl for whatever reason. He takes the guy with him after he does that.
Yeah, which is super weird. I liked before, like right before this, he literally goes like, no, we're totally fine. Would you like to see his body? And that's when they do the zip up. He goes, oh no, he's escaped.
Yes.
my mistake. You were right. He's somewhere loose on the ship.
So the horny female, the one who Jason let go just now, makes it to the group, tells them what's happening. Soldiers are now running around the ship searching for Jason. One of them sees a space monster, but he's saved by a different soldier. And oh wait, these aren't space monsters.
Holodeck.
Yes, holodeck.
It's a holodeck.
Also,
wow.
It gave me such. Okay, so what they're wearing looks so close to aliens. It's not even funny. And then I like the fact that it gave me Aliens and Doom vibes. Like that weird weird creature that they're shooting up the entire time. I was like, did I accidentally, is these two movies just like meshed together? Like when did when did this monster show up?
Given the time period, it could have been influenced by Doom, the design of that monster.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I do really like the this entire holodeck scene because like I love the buildup of like they're shooting at this thing, they're saving him, and then all of a sudden Jason slashes this thing from behind, and they're trying to get the game to stop, and they're like, "God damn it, hey, stop!" And then the fucking guy gets cleaved in half and goes, "I'm not counting that as a kill." Like I thought, because like you have this, I love the misdirection multiple times, because it's like it's the equivalent but works better than like a dream within a dream within a dream. So like the character wakes up and then wakes up and then wakes up again. This is like you see a monster and you realize it's fake. You're like, okay, great. And then Jason kills one of these dudes and realize he's also fake.
Yeah.
When they're just sitting there crisscross applesauce in a giant empty room.
Well, and then he immediately knocks the other guy's head off, and he's like, "Oh, all right, game over." That other guy being the writer of the movie.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, now they're out of the holodeck, and they get killed in real life. The kid jumps on Jason's back while the other guy's trying to shoot him, and Jason flings him from around his back and Bane style breaks his back across his knee.
This was a pretty quick but efficient death. Like it was just like
I think it's pretty cool. It is quick, but I like it. I do like that one. It's just
it was weird because I really like that one. I fucking hated the head smash.
Me too. Yeah. We already got a head smash, and this is like a lamer one. A face smash.
This is a concussion at best. You know what I mean? Like it looks like he just goes
very slow and steady.
Yeah.
At least a nose break, because the stunt guy doing this stunt broke his nose when Kane smashed his face into the wall.
That's so funny to me that one of the lamest deaths in the movie caused actual damage to some. That's so funny.
Now we get the professor and sergeant arguing about what to do with Jason, and basically the professor's like, we need him alive. I can offer you a ton of money.
100,000?
How much do you need?
200,000?
200,000? 500,000?
500,000? And then he goes that like,
Sarge's
yeah.
Seems like 5 works. And Sarge meets the soldiers, and he's like, listen, he wants him alive. So that means we got to shoot his legs once we blow him to bits. Ha ha ha. And they go off to search for Jason. They save a guy from getting space macheted.
Yes.
I don't even remember what that means.
Oh, I have to. There's one thing that I love about this, and it's like there's the way that their armor is like, I don't know how to explain it, but up above the chest, it kind of comes out a little bit around the contours, and then there's just a light that shines up their chin, but it doesn't go up their face.
No.
So it's like, which is so funny.
Their necks.
Yeah, because the movies do this thing all the time where, when you put helmets on or stuff, they always put lights in them, just to illuminate
so
the
you
face.
Can see their faces.
It just does nothing in the movie. It just literally just gets their neck blue.
Just adds more ominous blue lighting to everything.
And there's no practical reason for this chest piece to just come out that far. It's so weird.
It's so bizarre. And before they save what's his name, I call him like Kirkland Brand Danny McBride, like this other, because it reminds me of that dude. And then oh my gosh, was it NYPD Blue?
Oh, it's the engineer, right?
Yeah, the engineer.
He's totally like NYPD Blue.
NYPD Blue, whatever that cop's name is. But it's so funny because when they're doing like the clean and sweep before they get to him, it's amazing, the set design, because it's like they wanted to be alien but not alien, so they just found like a bunch of like concert rigging, because it just looks like the things on the sides of stages in a circle with blue lighting, and then they go like, all right guys, just like weave in and out of them like it's a really big space.
That's probably what they did. They got a bunch of fiberglass pieces and put them up. Yeah
Oh god, and it's just so apparent, but like everyone's so committed to it. Like I'm on board like the entire time.
So the engineer is doing something, whatever, and Jason comes up behind him, but the Marines save him. Now my next note is more creeping and looking around.
Yes. I do like the teleport Jason vibes in this are huge, because he does get lit up by the Space Marine squad with like 100 bullets. Like this is the equivalent of part Jason Goes to Hell amount of bullets in this dude, and then all of a sudden, because of steam, immediately he's just gone.
Yeah, classic. He needs something to like cover himself for a minute before he can disappear. He can't just disappear while you're looking at him.
How else is he going to miraculously murder each one of these Space Marines one by one unless he disappears? And then the sergeant goes, all right, guys, let's all spread out. let's all go to these really dark corners, and let's not turn a single light on in this cargo bay.
Yes, right.
Except on our neck.
Yeah.
I do like the stealth kill that Jason does. There's like a guy walking by and he like grabs him Batman style, and that's when we get the neck breaking where he's like, let me just do it just, instead of a quick snap, just a and it does make it better because otherwise it would be kind of lame.
Oh, totally.
It's just so dumb.
Some of these are fucking great. Was it dude, Condor's death? The guy on the second level.
This is the guy who tries to karate fight him and then gets thrown off.
And he gets drill bitted.
Yeah, where he's like circling.
And then the one-liner.
Yes.
Where they go, did you find him? Where's Condor? He's screwed. Like, fuck.
Now the next kill is one of these highly trained soldiers literally walks backward into Jason and gets her throat slit
too.
Pretty bad.
That one was really I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Then Jason gets shot till he falls into a big hook, which lifts him into the air. And the guy's like, hey, I got him. No problem. He'll just take your time. Okay. Jason immediately takes himself off the hook.
Yeah. To that guy's credit. Okay. I'm not saying that he did a great job at taking down Jason, but like he shot the dude, he gets impaled through the chest. And then as a double oops a fuck you, he shoots out both of Jason's knees. Like that's
because of what he said about shooting the legs.
Yeah. I was like, that's so good. Also, I would have loved to have seen a little more, I don't even know the best way to put it, a reaction to the battle damage that Jason's getting. Like, I understand that he can like a lot of these, he's in this one, he's like supposed to be alive. You know what I mean? Like he's not undead like the past previous installments. Like he's gooey.
But we know he's kind of invincible because of all the stuff they've tried to do to kill him. And the audience knows Jason at this point.
And he regenerates and all that kind of fun stuff. And I get that. And that's kind of the allure of it. But like he's not Wolverine. So like if he gets his kneecap shot out, like I would have loved to seen him like walk fucked up until like he cracks his knees back into place or something like that, and then starts going after you again.
Yeah,
just tidbit, just a little note.
That would have been a nice touch. That's the Ross cut.
Yeah. Which I'm working on feverishly.
So that Jason quickly frees himself and then apparently chops this guy in half because next thing we see is like his torso crawling away.
Yes, I love it.
Get out of here.
Sarge gets grabbed from behind a wall and then stabbed through the wall, like giantly impaled, a big spear. And he says, it's going to take more than a poke in the ribs to take down this old dog. And then he gets stabbed through the back again and says, yep, that ought to do it.
It's my favorite joke.
And apparently dies.
God. Man, that's so good.
I'm glad it works for you guys.
I thought that was fucking great because you're sitting there, you're like, because I think the first time I heard that line, audibly laughed out loud.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's just like, God, it's so, because it's all the cheesy lines from Aliens where like, and like they're kind of supposed to, it's not even supposed to be funny, but like not, these are blatantly like, look
funny.
What we're doing.
Yes. Yeah, they're campy.
It's definitely supposed to be funny. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, a lot of the one-liners in this movie didn't work for me, but that's okay. Maybe it's just not for me. I like. Well,
let me ask you a question though.
Yes.
Did you watch it by yourself or with other people?
By myself. Yes.
That's why. I will say it. This movie is completely different with people than without people.
Yeah,
I believe it.
And it's that wink, wink camp. Everyone in the room knows that this is absolutely insanely ridiculous and that energy brings it up. By yourself, it's kind of like, okay.
That I can see that. I totally respect that. To be fair, all these movies I've watched by myself. Actually, my wife somehow watched Jason Goes to Hell with me. But
nice.
5, A New Beginning, which is garbage and seems like you would need other people to enjoy it, I watched by myself. So
I thoroughly enjoyed it. No, I had some great chuckles because I actually got to watch this with my wife, and she's like, there's some of these, she was like, ha ha, and simultaneously in the same room while doing so, going, ha ha.
Okay, there are moments that did work for me for sure. But some of the more like intentional moments that are like clearly to alleviate whatever's going on and get a laugh from the audience, a lot of those didn't work. That's okay.
I mean, they're not good.
So, right. Okay. Right. Gotta look at them that way.
Yeah.
They're funny because they're bad.
Exactly.
All right. So now there's no soldiers left. They've immediately wiped out for one outing.
But they're dropping out of hyperspace, though. They should be at that space station soon.
Yeah, I think so. So it's just the professor, the students, and the sex robot left.
Yes.
That southern guy's flying the big ship as well. I guess he pilots both the small ship and the big ship. Mm-hmm. But whoops, not anymore, because that's exactly the part we're at. They're docking at Solaris, this big city that's got fucking 60 Marines just waiting for him to get there, and they'll be safe once they're there, is their assumption. But their pilot gets killed, and this ship crashes through this whole space shitty city and fucking absolutely destroys it. Like, this ship blows up this city.
It like cleaves the glass dome completely off, and then like full throttle goes through one of these ginormous building-esque spires as everything starts exploding. I didn't realize the gravity of what I was watching
when it hit it
until I watched it this time around. As in, like, I realized it was a space station, but like I didn't quite realize it's a fucking full city. Like, it's a actual city that just got killed. Like, that's what fuck with. Like, I watched, I was like, oh shit, they killed the space station. Wait a minute, there was like a lot of people. Dude, Jason's body count went from 200 to like 200,000 in like the course of like a split second.
Yeah, if you count that as, I mean, it's the result of his actions, but
yes.
He didn't do it like, it'll be good. Haha. Maybe he did.
He's like, you guys gotta wait, watch this.
So, yeah, destroys this city, but their ship is relatively fine. I mean, they're not going anywhere, but they can put out a distress signal, life sign, vital, whatever you need to, life support is working. They'll be okay. They're in a heavy traffic area. Somebody will come by. Bigger problem is Jason. So Jason starts pounding at the door, and they stare at the door for a while.
Yes.
When suddenly Jason jumps through a window.
Hey, we get a window smash.
We get a window. We've realized he does it in every movie. There's some sort of window smash going in, going out. However it works, it happens.
Every installment.
Even in space. So that's everybody escapes the room but the professor. The professor's trying to bargain with Jason. Jason finds his old machete, looks at his new one, looks at his old one, puts his new one down, and the professor yells, "Hey guys, it's okay. He just wants his machete back," and dies off screen. That line, I'll admit that one worked for me. It's just so dumb. I was able to laugh at that one alone. I was laughing all alone, all by myself. So the Rowan, all my notes just call her Past Lady, so I'm trying not to call her that, but I feel like the character names aren't really said enough in this movie to pick it up. Yeah. So a lot of my lines are like that, with the exception of Jason. So Rowan gets a big gun. She says it's like riding a bike. So I guess in 450 years, guns haven't changed when we're living on Earth 2 and traveling through space. The guy argues with robot. Oh, the guy who programs the robot. They're arguing until it leads to a little bit more.
It's because they had a 12% chance of survival. And then he plays tonsil hockey with his creation, and it jumps up to 53. And he's waiting to get a fully engorged 100% survivability.
What do you
out
say
of
we
this
get
robot.
that to 100? Yeah, it cuts. Now we get the Rowan creeping around. She comes. The ladies, actually, all three of them are creeping around, and they come across a bloody pike through the wall. This is when they split up. Two of them go off one way. Rowan finds the sergeant still alive. The men have snuck somewhere to do something that presumably helps, is my note. And it's the engineer, and Galen, I think his name was. They're trying to do their own thing.
Was it Crutch?
This is when we get the Microsoft conflict joke.
Yes.
Which is, there's, haven't seen anything bad since the Microsoft conflict.
We were tearing each other's limbs off and beating each other up with them. Yeah.
Another one of those, again, didn't work for me.
I do like the
the
pilot's deck on this look like something out of Event Horizon. I just like the fact that there's just meat confetti all over the controls, like it's but draped over, like it's like he skinned them and went there we go, and just like he Ed Geined the entire front of the ship.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, I'm gonna fashion myself a chair. So ladies are trying to do something that helps as well. The engineer is surprised by a head lollipop, a little head on the end of a machete pops up next to him. He goes,
goes to scream like, oh, his electrocution's great too.
And then he's smashed into electronics for, it seems like a while. Yes. It kind of goes on. Oh, so the one of those girls, there's three of them sneaking around. One of them got into the shuttle first that they're all planning to escape through, and she's locked herself in and won't let anybody else in.
Okay, so question, because earlier on in the movie when she's having a freak out, she's like, I have to go back to my room because my boyfriend's going to be waiting there for me. It'll be great. Why would you let the woman who like is basically lost her mind in control of what's inside of the safety shuttle? Like any other job I would have like probably given her, not the one where she's directly in the shuttle and can close the door.
All right.
I'll give them that they're, in a high stretch situation and might not have thought about the fact that she would lock them out.
Yeah.
Try and give them a little leeway. It needs it.
This was one of the only like not downer moments for me, because like it's just this weird Lifetime movie, her in a fetal position crying the entire time, going like, I can't, I just don't want to. Okay. Right. And then like, open the fucking door. And she's like, nope.
Well, because she's going to take it on her own, but she's not very good at it because she leaves the fuel line plugged in and it blows up. So now they don't have a shuttle to escape from. So we got our lady from the past, guy and a girl from the present. Jason's coming up. These are my notes on this fucking movie. Jason encroaches, but surprise, the robot perv has upgraded his sex slave. So she comes out. He's like, yeah, I gave her an upload. And she proceeds to shoot Jason a lot.
What does he say? Hey, Slappy, check this out. I think is exactly what he says to Jason.
I do not recall. That could easily fit this movie, so we'll go with that. She shoots him a lot, narrates while she's doing it. Then she does cartwheels down a hallway to kick him, shoots a perforated wall around Jason, shoots his arm off, then kicks him through the wall, then shoots his leg off with a shotgun.
Yeah, this is like
she then
Jason
blows off most of his head.
This is like Jason versus the Terminator in the Matrix. Like all the weird flips and flops and all that kind of stuff. And then just
she's in the leather, shiny leather.
Although
it's all the tropes of the turn of the century.
His arm so like obviously like getting shot around and then that going down was amazing. The brah of the gun going up just to cleave his arm off, I thought was fucking fantastic. Where like he's about to raise it, fucking shoots it off, drops, and then just the guts getting blown out, the leg getting blown out, and then just having the head goo, the blow up of his head is so
awesome,
fucking good.
Yeah, I love all the shotgun blowing off bits. Those look cool. We pan in on what remains of Jason, and oh shit, did he die on one of those fancy healing chambers we saw earlier? Nobody, I guess it's fine. Survivors, they are about to blow up the ship in half. They've talked to these So a ship has picked up their distress signal. They are going to come to rescue them. There's a whole bunch of problems with why that'll work. So they're going to blow half their ship off in order to try and make it so they can get there in time.
Just like Event Horizon.
Yeah.
I realize that the way that the ship is set up and the way that they do it in Event Horizon is literally almost the exact same thing. And they also blow up like the side bridges to just have one of them as a lifeboat.
Yeah.
Only reason I know that is because I watched Event Horizon like a week ago. I was like, holy shit. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, I can't recall. I've been wanting to revisit it, but anyway. So they're like, great, everything's fine now. Well, we'll go work on blowing up half this ship. And then the nanobots come out and they're getting to work. But we see some message about the DNA not having enough DNA to repair him. So nanobots are sent to look for synthetic material to finish the job. And we touched on that earlier. That's why he's so metallic and everything. There's not enough him to put together. So they go grab some metal and slap it on there.
Oh, you.
Again, not naked though. You'd think his like flesh would be cloth-like. I don't know. Pan air.
And because of that, we get one of the most disturbing abominations of the early 2000 horror, which is fucking Mech Jason.
Yes. Super Shredder.
Yeah.
Metal chrome dome. I mean, he is looking like Shredder and Hellraiser and Frankenstein had a baby. It is so awesome. And those weird red eyes is,
yeah.
He's also the cleanest he's ever been, which is hilarious to me. Like, this man has been I mean, just like the chrome on him,
reborn.
he's high polished. Like all of that, he's like his hair is all, yeah. His pore lines look great.
I like his design in the wide shots, but whenever it's up close, it just looks like shiny, cheap plastic. It's like,
yeah,
not great.
Well, it's like it's sculpted too in a way that gives him like this very comic booky type,
yes,
big man type face. It's very interesting and very, clearly painted and
yes,
interesting.
It is something. To be honest, I'm not sure where I land on it. I liked it and then I didn't like it and now maybe I'm somewhere in between.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've never been a huge fan. I kind of go back and forth depending on how my mood on it.
Yeah, it was when I watched it in 4K on my TV. I really didn't like it, but when I watched it on my phone, my little phone, I was like, this isn't so bad.
There you go.
I don't see, that's the problem, is that human beings were never supposed to see in 4K.
Exactly.
So it's just like we never asked, we always ask, like, could we, but we never ask ourselves, should we?
Exactly.
And I think with 4K, it's like some of these older films
should.
Absolutely 100% should not be done in 4K.
Suspiria looked incredible in 4K. Let me tell you.
Which one did?
So, Suspiria.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, I can see
the original.
That.
Phenomenal. Anyway,
see, I can see film stock being great.
So now they're like, all right, so he reveals himself. We see this look. They're like, I guess we got to fight him again. The lady robot goes to get him, and Weapon J knocks off the sex robot's head. Kapow!
And not even like that's the weirdest CGI.
Just with a punch.
He just goes like it's not even. It's almost it's kind of a punch, but like a slap. It's like a punch slap, and it's just like
it's like if you were gonna slap a little kid to the ground with your hand. Not that I would know what that is.
Not that you would specifically know what that is, Sam.
Thought about it. So yeah, head gets knocked off. They are trying to get away from Jason. The rescue ship arrives. They get onto the ship. The lady has to run back. Or wait, no, the rescue ship arrives, but they haven't gotten on it yet. Because wait, is it the rescue ship that he punches the holes in? It must be.
No.
Because the sergeant sacrifices himself. He blows Jason into space. Oh, but that's just blowing off half of their ship.
Yeah. There's two different parts of the ship, and then
so they're still trying to get
ways or something like that.
Ways.
Yeah, he's got the detonator, so he hits it and blows him to hell.
Oh, that's what it is. Yes, because he's stuck on that side already.
Exactly.
So he blows Jason into space, blows off half the thing. I just have Guy as my notes, so I wasn't sure who it was. And the rescue ship arrives. All is well. Surprise! Space Jason punches a hole through the side of the ship, causing a vacuum. Robo Perv is now carrying around the head of his sex robot lady.
Yes.
The hole is sucking stuff out of it, as the vacuum of space does. I guess there's still enough air in there because everybody can yell and talk and whatnot. Mm-hmm. One lady's holding on to a grate on the floor. The grate flies off. She can't hold on anymore. This sucks in so many ways, or something like that, she says.
So good.
She flies off, gets sucked out the grate through the hole, but most of it's off screen. We just see a little bit of flaps on its way through.
And this, I wonder if it was like a budgetary thing. Because, I mean, if you're going to have a one-liner that says this sucks on so many levels, and then her let go and then get sucked through metal grating out of a port, like you said, like you only get like a little bit of meat goo. You don't actually get to see any of it.
I just assumed that they planned on doing it digitally, and it didn't work out.
Oh, that's a really good
Maybe
point.
it was bad enough. They were like, let's not do it.
Wow, could you
But
imagine?
again, we've already seen this idea in another Alien movie, right? Was Alien Resurrection out at this point? I think it was.
Oh, that's right. When the weird mama
happens to the
alien gets sucked through the thing, like starts screaming, like ugh.
Okay. Jason punches his way in. They've gotten into some other room where they've been able to seal themselves, so they're okay, as he continues just knocking down doors on his way after him. So they get to the hatch to go to the rescue shuttle, but it won't open. The Sarge has to do a spacewalk to repair something to do it.
They always have to do a spacewalk.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the programmer plugs the head of his sex robot into the computers to do something helpful, presumably. Jason, they're like, Jason's on his way. What are we going to do?
We need a diversion.
You're the expert. Yep. They holodeck him. I guess he just happened to be coming through there, and now he is in Crystal Lake. Wow, this is crazy. What a great distraction. Oh, maybe he spotted them. What do? Gotta think quick. Load 1980 protocol or whatever. Suddenly, there's two girls there. They offer Jason beer, ask him if he wants to smoke some pot, or maybe he's interested in some premarital sex.
We love premarital sex. In unison.
And get in their sleeping bags.
And
we see
for this particular scene, when watching this, because obviously I was still in high school, I'm watching this in my living room. My dad is sitting down next to me. I remember this scene vividly, because like we're sitting down next to him, and then he goes, "Oh my gosh, you want a beer or smoke some pot or have premarital sex? We love premarital sex."
Oh.
Takes their shirts off. I look at my dad, and then I look at the screen, and he starts laughing so hard at this fucking scene. He was just like, "Oh wow, yeah, no, that is pretty much every single one of these, isn't it?" And just like walks out of the room. I was like, this is almost put into the movie for like if your teen kid is watching this and they were like, "Wow, this movie is so self-evident of itself that like I don't even need to be worried about it."
That's awesome.
Well, and this is my favorite moment of the movie. So they say that, they get in the sleeping bags, it goes to our survivors, they're still trying to get the door open. Cut to Jason beating one of the campers with the other camper in the sleeping bag.
Ow.
And just bang, bang, bang repeatedly until he's satisfied and throws the one he's been smashing into a tree. Absolutely love it. It's so good. It really brings it all together. Now we get Past Lady, Robo Freak, and the Head all make it onto the rescue ship. As Jason tries to pursue, the sergeant closes the doors, trapping Jason aboard. The rescue ship escapes, and they watch the ship blow up, but they see Spacin'. Spacin'.
Wow.
Jason in space.
Flying towards their ship. He's about to get there, but bam, the sergeant flies and stops him again. And they fly off into the void. Our three survivors look at a nearby planet while the sergeant rides Jason's body into the atmosphere.
Oh my god, riding him like something out of fucking
It's like
Why is the movie escaping me? Yeah. Like that kind of like Stanley Kubrick, just like riding the bomb all the way down, but just like being a human meteorite on top of Jason. Like, what a fucking ending! It's just like,
ridiculous.
Again, and this movie is a miracle.
It really is.
The ending really typifies it for me. There's a local couple watching a shooting star. It lands in a lake. We see the burn mask fall to the bottom of the lake. So, and now we are, we've run out of time for any movies to be in between. Now that we're in 2023, no Jason movies, unless they take place in the past, can take place before this movie. So the next Jason movie would have to be on Earth 2 with this Jason.
Oh, wow.
I'll take it.
Again, unless it's an unseen Jason movie.
100%. I'm down for that.
Swim, boom, bam. That's the end of Jason X. Any overall thoughts before we move on?
Oh, just a glory to behold the entire time.
The movie is just it's not good, but it has
terrible.
But it has so many great moments. You know what I mean?
It has a lot of good moments.
It's just a lot of these moments that are just like, okay, all right.
I certainly agree with that. Without anything else, I think we can go ahead and move on to the crematorium of questions. All right, crematorium of questions. Let's see here. How would we survive this one? We're on the ship. I don't see it happening. Unless we are programming a sex robot.
I was gonna say maybe if it was normal Jason, but this like mech Uber Jason dude, like that is just.
Well, even the normal Jason's pretty hard to get away from.
Yeah, but
now it is Super Shredder. It's going from, you know what I mean?
I mean, Jason's. I'm of the opinion that anything that happens, and this is why I like space horror. So anything that happens in space means you're just gonna die. I mean, that's the thing. You're in space. Yeah. Space is the killer here. Jason's just sort of like speeding it along a little bit. So even without Jason, you're probably gonna die. I feel like if you're in this, these big, space barges or whatever they are.
Right, exactly. Whatever this was. Space transport ship.
Yeah, something's gonna happen.
I think we're getting it. Should it be gooier? Yes.
Oh,
I think. I mean, some of the goo is great, but some of it I could definitely use a little more. There was one in particular that I thought I would remember. I should have wrote it down. But yeah, give me some more.
The fact that you couldn't remember it means it needs more goo.
Yeah,
exactly. Thank you, Ross.
Hey, I'm just doing my part.
All right. Villain level 1 through 10. I think we need to do 2 different ratings. We have our regular Jason and our Uber Jason. Yeah, so we'll do regular Jason first.
Mad Max Jason.
Power level 1 through 5. Iconography 1 through 5. Get you 10 total. I'm going to go power level of regular Jason. It's like a 4. It's very strong, but not inescapable. Iconography, I've mentioned I don't love the look. It's Jason, so it's always going to get kind of high. I'll give him a 3 there. So I'm going to say 7 for Rego Jason.
I can agree with that. I'd even go more like a 6 just based off of the looks. Like he looks more of like a normal dude in this versus most of the other installments.
Doesn't look as mutant.
Yeah, and I know you like the dramatic angles of the hawk. I like a smooth hawk. Having those sharp angles on that.
See, yeah. I did like that, and sort of the brow I think is a little pronounced. It's like they tried to make him more menacing.
Well, he looks like
subtly.
He looks like, what is it? God damn it, from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Casey Jones. He looks like Casey Jones's older brother in this with the way this hockey mask looks, and I just couldn't shake that.
No, I agree. I'd probably be a 5 or a 6 on it as well.
All right, cool. What about
Robo Jason?
Metal Face Jason.
Metal Face.
Yeah.
That's a whole different can of worms.
Power levels at 4.5. I only am not giving him a 5 because in theory, if you get away from him, you're not on the same ship or planet or whatever, you are safe. He's not inescapable, but he's unstoppable. So 4.5. And then iconography, Oh, what do you think of the looks of it? I don't know how to rate the looks of this Jason because I am so either way. So I guess I'll get to go 2.5 there. So for me, that would give it a 7 again.
I don't know, man. Like this is like an 8.5 for me.
Yeah.
I think it just adds to, because I add an extra like ludicrous little garnish on top. Like I think it ventures into almost outlandish. Not almost, it is outlandish, but it hits all those nice chords for me. So when you see him in his full metallic, just gleaming, freshly polished off of the nanobot fucking thing, I was just like, God, it's so cool looking and weird. I would never want most of the other Jasons. I'm like, okay, well, it's grungy, it's weird. Like this is like hospital sterilization Jason, which I feel is almost more off-putting. Like he's too clean.
Sterile Jason.
Yeah, you can't deny the power level, right? Like that's obvious.
Oh,
Jason.
yeah.
So
right.
that's gonna be high. But like, and like I said, it kind of depends. I'm kind of hot and cold on it depending on how I feel. But I did realize as you were talking about that I desperately want a Jason X action figure, and we never got one. And that puts that high for me. I really want to see
absolutely.
That. Yeah. Oh shit, that's so true.
Oh, cool. I like that. Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Does this movie deserve a sequel, and what is your sequel idea?
Oh, yeah, Earth 2.
Ross?
I mean, like you've got an entire new planet.
The TV show.
Earth 2, the TV show.
That was a show. I don't know if you watched it. I did.
It would be really interesting to have a sequel done on this new Earth with just, I don't know. It would be like a camp slasher, but with like insanely different sci-fi tech. And I think something like that would be
future, what a camp is like in the future.
Yeah, right? Where it's like
future camp.
Yeah, I kind of like I want to see what you could do with the kills with something like that specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Imagine the propellers on a future boat.
Yeah, I mean it's like the options are endless almost.
Ooh, yeah.
Because there's no rules. You're on this. You're making it up.
Exactly. Well, whatever the budget can afford.
Exactly.
Having a person thrown into like a food processor, like something that makes anything.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like
the Next Generation.
Yeah.
Thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that would be awesome. All right. Mine. I like mine. It could never happen, but I love it. My sequel idea is Jason takes Endor and Jason fights Ewoks or Ewoks versus Jason. Would be incredible. And I like Ewoks. I'm not one of those Ewok haters.
I'm just picturing a bunch of Ewoks
incredible.
like getting like snares and trying to wrap his legs real tight. Just trying to like pull him down.
Yeah, exactly. They're hitting him with rocks and ropes, and he's like picking them up and smashing them together.
Oh my God.
Poor Wicket. All right. I have a pit call for this movie. We haven't had a pit call in a while, but when the breakdown's coming and you're gonna open up this fucking pit, right. You yell, "Hey guys, it's okay. He just wants his machete back." I think that'd be a lot of fun. Would you buy the soundtrack or score on vinyl? I'm giving a no for this one. You got Harry Manfredini back, but it didn't do anything for me.
Only as a completist. I don't care for it.
Only because you need all the vinyls.
I've already got one through. I've got all of them through 8. So I would. Yeah, I am actually waiting for it because I have to complete it. But
you have to.
The completionist. Right.
Yeah.
We forgot to say that this movie was for completionists. We always say that for the Friday movies. Yeah. Good point, Ross. Would you get it? Nah. If there's a cool one.
To be totally honest with you, like under normal circumstances, probably not. But just to have a Jason X vinyl, to have someone go through your collection and like pull it out and go, really?
Yes.
Really? And it's
fair enough. That's a good point.
All right, we'd already touched on it. Is anything action figure worthy?
Yes.
My answer was Metal Face Jason.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
100%.
Could you imagine like an action figure set of just him with the medical assistant with her face smashed in the nitrogen?
Oh, like a little
Like a diorama
like
would be so much fun.
That would be awesome. What merch or prop would you want from the film? We just mentioned it. I want the broken face.
Oh, yeah. I would say, oh man.
Ooh, and his future machete, the future space.
I would say
machete.
future Hawk that drops into the lake at the end of the movie. That's all like,
oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
Just all melted and weird and stuff like that. Just as a display piece, I think would be fun.
Totally.
And also the professor's nipple clamp. Just
the 90.
For personal use.
For personal use.
All right, last one. And this is the last time we're going to ask this question. We're retiring it for the new year. We're making a few new changes. We're not doing any regular episodes for the rest of the year. We're doing a few specials. It's the holiday season. But this last time, we'll be asking this one. How would Pearl from X die in this movie?
Geriatric Pearl from X.
Old Lady Pearl.
Old Lady Pearl.
I mean, there's a million ways. She's in space already. That's going to be tough on her. Probably the journey there would take care of it.
I honestly say that she was on the research thing and she fell down the stairs getting off the shuttle and died falling down the stairs before any of the Jason stuff happened.
Okay, cool. I was going to give her the frozen kill again, but he dunks her head in, and when he pulls her out, her head just falls off because it's frozen solid and she's old and barely held together.
Nice.
Howard.
Oh, Howard.
All right. Did you want to kill Pearl?
Oh,
Luke,
I'm not prepared to kill Pearl. No. But that was enjoyable.
All right, let's move on to the ratings. Let's dip our fingers in
liquid nitrogen
and break off whatever we feel the appropriate ratings are. On this show, we use a scale of 0 to 5 severed fingers. Each finger represents a different quality about the movie. You can chop off half a finger or no fingers. These ratings are intended to be subjective on how we feel about a movie and is not reflective of whether or not a movie is objectively good or bad. Ross, I'll have you go first.
All right. Okay. So engaging is going to get, I want to try to be cool and say 0.5. It's going to get a full 1. I was engaged. Every time I watch this, I'm fully engaged. Even at the most ridiculous plot holes in this thing, I'm engaged every time I watch this, which will go directly into Sticky. Sticky gets a full 1. There are more good scenes for me than bad scenes. I mean, it's all relatively hokey and corny and bad, but like I think even the ones that are like blatantly supposed to be like wink wink nod nod are still like just some of the one-liners in this movie are just full 1. That goes to T-Shirtable. T-Shirtable is going to be, I think T-Shirtable is going to be a 0.5 for me because I do like certain visuals from Jason X. I just don't. Again, out of all the other Friday the 13th, I would wear so many other Jason Voorhees T-shirts
before you wear a Jason X shirt.
wear a Jason X shirt. Because I'll be totally honest with you, I don't in my soul have the balls to pull off a mech Jason on a T-shirt.
Really?
I don't. It's just. I
guess I have bigger balls than you.
You know what? I don't know. It's something about it where I like the look, but I just couldn't put it on a T-shirt. I don't know.
I think it makes him. I understand your hang up. Yeah. For me, it makes it more fun actually. Like. Because it's sort of the audacity to wear Jason
exactly.
Jason.
You know what I mean? I just, I feel like I would get into like edgelord status for doing that. You know what I mean? Where you're just like,
if you did it, you would only be doing it to be like, yeah, yeah, totally. I get it,
like that kind of
because your heart doesn't say so. I follow you.
Although secretly, I love it. You know what I mean? Which makes it, I don't know. It's the dichotomy is weird. That goes into Cockles. Cockles is, oh man, Cockles is gonna get a I think Cockles is gonna get a 0.5 from me. Like, there's some great scenes. It didn't like eviscerate, milk it, but like there's so many good fucking scenes in this, and some of the best kills in the series, which is amazing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like that just hits some of those nodes. And then rewatchable, I think, is going to get a point.
Sorry, what was it for Cockles?
0.5.
Okay.
And then rewatchable's also going to get a 0.5, where it's like, I think it's fun is that someone has to suggest Jason X to me, then I'll watch it, and then I'll get a kick out of it. I never actively go to watch Jason X, as in like, so it'll be brought up in conversation, like, fuck, I haven't seen that in a minute. Let me go watch that. And then I'll go watch it, versus like if I have all of the Crystal Lake homicide movies in front of me, I'd be like, yeah, there's a few that I'd probably watch more comfort food wise than Jason X.
That makes sense to me. So that's a 3.5 out of 5. Does that feel right in your heart?
Oh man, I want to give it a 4, to be totally honest with you. I'm going to stick with a 3.5, but in my, I just
we'll do a retrospective next week if you want to change it.
I know I've said this in other installments. I feel it's a 3.5, but it's closer to me. I'll go directly off of what we've kind of been like reverberating, is that this is almost like a 4.5 in a group. Like I feel like this adds an entire phantom finger if you're in a group of people, as in like I feel like the mob mentality for this movie elevates this way more than I don't know. So yeah, so a 3.5, and then my phantom finger with groups gives it a little extra, but yeah, we'll stick with 3.5.
Okay, cool, great. Bryan could not be here. He did give me kind of his rating. I know it's 4 fingers. He's gonna divulge what that means in our upcoming retrospective. But it is 4 fingers total from the Bry guy. And then I'll bounce over and do mine. I will say, going into this, I was kind of down on this movie, but after our discussion, I do like it more. So we'll see how that ultimately affects this rating.
How will it say?
Engaging is getting a 0.5. There's great... The moments that are fun are super fun, and I'm in it. And other parts, I'm thinking about other stuff. I'm not paying attention. While making my notes of like what happens in this movie, I had to pause it and go back several times because I just like sort of space out. Except for exactly. Thank you. With it, but again, I'd get sucked right back in for other scenes, so it's not
fair.
It's a 0.5. After engaging, we have sticky. I'm going to throw another 0.5 there. I'm sure I'll remember some of the deaths, the look of Metal Face Jason, but in general, I think a lot of this is going to be regrettable. Not regrettable. Forgettable for me.
You're regrettable.
T-shirtable. I'm gonna throw it a 1.
Wow.
Because I could see wearing Metal Face Jason, and I think it would be fun for the Audacity in an edgelordy sort of way. I can't help it. I guess.
I'm with you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I get that.
That's true. Cockles. I'm gonna stick with 0.5. We got our retrospective. We'll see if it changed. It was definitely a 0.5 going into this because, again, you said you thought there was just as many bad as good scenes in this. I don't know that I would, or that maybe you said the bad scenes weren't that bad. I forget what you said. Either way, I think the bad scenes are pretty bad, and the good scenes are great, but it's how do you mix the two? How do you come to terms with it? You give it a 0.5 on your Cockles. And then rewatchable. How much am I going to want to go back and visit this?
Every week.
0.5, because I will, and I almost want to watch it with people now. But that's the only situation that's going to happen in. How often am I with people watching horror movies? Not as often as I'd like. So 0.5, which gives it 3, which I thought I was going to end up at 2.5 going into this because of the good, bad. You mix them together, go halfway down the middle. But I'm happy to give it a 3. So that makes before we get to our overall club score, Luke, would you like to give us your ratings First,
Yeah.
what does your heart say? And then I would like to see what the scale.
Well, you know what's interesting about this is that when I first saw it, which was by myself actually, I would have I was on your level. I was kind of like, I was surprisingly entertained, but the badness of it, like and I kind of understood that it's intentional. But right. The first time I ever saw it, I was but then I remember I rewatched it with my wife. My wife hadn't seen any.
My wife.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing about Friday the 13th is she hadn't seen any of the movies, and so we did a marathon one Halloween.
Oh, that's awesome.
And when we got there, we just had the best frickin' time. Like of the full series, I remember one of the ones where we laughed some of the most, where we just kind of came out of going, yeah, that was trash, but it was great trash,
fun.
Yeah. And so now, and that's happened a couple times. I just rewatched it again with another friend. A couple of us, we actually skipped 2 Jason X in our rewatch. We were watching them over weeks, and we got to I think
so good.
I think we got to 4, and we're like, can we just like fast forward and watch X? Because I just desperately want to watch X
5 and watch X.
Yeah, so we actually did, and then we actually went back and watched 5 after that. So I mean, for me, it's definitely a 4. In my heart, it's a 4. I've seen it I think I've seen it about 4 times now, and every time I watch it, I think I have more fun with it. I think I'm like cluing into what its intention is, which its intention is sort of just pure fun. Like you can tell that that's all that they want to do with this, and it's fun in the sense of like the filmmakers love the kills. They know how absolutely stupid this concept is. They are fully aware of everything, and they're just like, there's a sense that you watch this movie that everyone knows that this should not be made, and it is. Right. And so they're just going for it, and I think that that makes it one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies.
And what you said about rewatching it makes a lot of sense to me, because something I've learned, because I've been watching movies at least twice while doing this podcast, is that rewatches can really make or break a movie, but also once you sort of understand what you're getting into on a rewatch, also will change your whole perspective.
Oh, 100%. I'm a personal big believer in give things as much as you can a second chance, because sometimes just knowing can change a film for better or worse. Just knowing intention, knowing what to expect.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely. Now, I am going to make you go through our Chuddle scale. The first finger is engaging. Would you do 0.5 or 1?
I gotta go. I think I gotta go 1 there. Yeah. I don't know why. It's just I think part of it is because every time I watch it, it's more fun to watch. So.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're picking up new things, looking for new stuff you might have written off before is suddenly interesting.
And I'm waiting for the next moment. There's so many great moments that
what's our next one? Sticky. How memorable is it? How much do you like thinking about it? 0.5 or 1?
That's probably a 0.5, I would say. Which that's a harder one to answer. Let's just say 0.5 on that one.
All right, fair. T-shirtable.
Yeah, no, I 100%. I mean, I would wear that thing proudly. So that's a 1. That's a 1 for me.
No shame.
One day, I want to have the confidence of you, Luke, to wear a Jason X shirt.
Hey, I wear a Halloween Kills shirt with pride.
I think what it is that every time I talk to people who get excited about Friday the 13th, they love Jason X. Like it's become more I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say there, but I've noticed that as of late for sure. So
I would 100%. Agree. I've talked, just being in like the Friday the 13th Reddit and talking to a bunch of people, because now I'm watching all these movies. Anybody who's a fan of the franchise likes this movie. So I think maybe that was the other thing. It didn't deliver what I was expecting, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
I can see that.
I think I just thought it was going to be more somehow. And then we have Cockles. How does it make you feel?
Oh, I mean that's a 1 completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this movie just makes me feel great. I love this movie.
And lastly, rewatchable.
Yeah, that's a 1 for sure.
That's a 1. So your heart said 4. The scale says 4 or 5. How about that?
Well, there you go.
Good. Yeah.
It's an imperfect system, but it's not bad, and you do lean towards liking it more than less, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, and then our Chuddle Club rating, or do we? Let me go to this. We're gonna go to the club and see what the club members had to say.
Really?
So we'll hop in our Discord real quick. I know we definitely had some folks with some opinions on Jason X.
Shocking.
Beautiful.
Let's see.
There's a Letterboxd review that I saw that I love. I'm gonna see if I can
really?
find it.
Oh yeah.
Haters of this film simply know nothing of real cinema and are too afraid to admit it. So instead, they channel their ignorance into disliking Jason X to hide their pain.
Letterboxd is the best.
God, that's fantastic.
From Travis Maxwell, Boom. Maxwell Boom. There you got it. Witch Doctor of Doom. Engaging. 1 finger floating in space. Sticky. 2 fingers floating in space next to an Uberhawk. T-shirtable. Cut off a 3rd finger and fling it into the sun. Cockles. Oh, cut my dick off and count that as an arm. My. Rewatchable. I just cut my wee-wee off. What more do you want? 5 out of 5 for Friday the 13th film. I absolutely love Jason in space.
Fantastic.
Thank you, T-Boo.
Awesome.
Then we have old Rickles, the witchy Cajun, says it's a 10. 5 fingers in the void for Jason X Space. We got our boy Trevor, who just joined the nightclub officially. He's a member now. I don't know if you knew that, Ross.
Oh, really?
He's got 5 fingers for Jason X. We get our buddy, our new Discord friend, who's a fan of the show. I don't know his real name, but his Discord name's LeadingRue91. And he says, I give it 5 camp counselors being beaten in sleeping bags. So he's also at a 5. We got Weird jumping in saying she'd give it 10 fingers if she could. This movie was so much fun. So overall, I think that's it. And it's a whole bunch of gifts and people having...
Oh, it's true.
No, we got 2 more.
I think you guys are giving
Mystery
me the confidence
Street,
to get more Jason X merch in my life.
Here's even more because Alex the Witch Plowix says, this movie fucks. 5 nitrogen frozen fingers in the grave.
Nice.
And Sergio from the horror bandwagon says, love this movie. Take all 5 of my fingers, please. So I think you can not feel so ashamed of your love. And the club rates it way higher than we did.
That's very true.
So let's see what our overall score was for the Chuddleman. 3.5 on the nose.
Oh.
So doesn't go into the Chuddle Club crypt, but it does sit around. Oh, wow. We only have 2 other 3.5s on the nose. That would be Rec 2 and New Year's Evil.
Evil.
Right below, we have Chud in the menu. Right above, we have the editor and the empty man.
Beautiful.
Now, it is time to skip the final thingy because I didn't have one and ChatGPT wasn't working for me, so I couldn't think of one on my own with my own brain. With that, that'll wrap it up. That does it for the Chuddle Movie Club tonight. You can follow Chuddle the Pod on Instagram and Slasher. Stay up to date with podcasts. Follow at Ross Purvis at Ross Purvis on Instagram if you want to see his tattoos. And if you're in the Central Florida area, you can get a tattoo from him. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Chuddle the Sam if you are interested in what I'm watching and thinking. And Bryan's always lurking around in the Discord, so you can find him there. Just to make it easy for you, all that stuff is in the show notes. Please rate us on your podcast app. Tell your friends about us. Word of mouth helps the most. And of course, we have to thank Luke Boyce for joining us again.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Make sure to check out Revealer on Shudder. You can follow Luke. Luke, do you want to be followed anywhere?
Yeah, I'm still just Instagram. That's pretty much it. Luke's Lens.
Nice.
Dope. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
You certainly don't
That's
want
all
to be
you
on
need. These days.
Muskax.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Talk about edgelords.
All right. Nice. And with all that being said, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And until next time, avoid the time loop.